When you hear the phrase ghost town, you probably picture some old, dusty town from a Western movie, right? Tumbleweeds and all. But what if that whole phenomenon isn't just a thing of the past? A recent analysis suggests that a brand new wave of American ghost towns isn't just possible, it might already be starting.
This quote really sets the stage, doesn't it? For decades, Detroit has been the poster child for urban decay. It's a city that was basically hollowed out when its main industry collapsed. It's just a stark, really visceral picture of what can happen when a city's economic heart just stops beating.
And right here, this is the core question we're digging into. The argument is that what happened in Detroit, well, it wasn't a one-off event. It was more like a preview, because right now there are powerful new trends putting other major American cities, even ones you think are totally thriving, on the exact same path.
So, what does a modern ghost town even look like? We're not talking about dusty saloons and ghost stories. No, we're talking about something the source calls a death spiral.
Okay, so the really crucial thing to get about this idea is how it feeds on itself. It's a vicious cycle. It all starts when people and businesses begin to leave. That, naturally, shrinks the city's tax base. With less money coming in, the city has to cut services. Fewer police officers, worse schools, roads full of potholes. And that, of course, makes the city an even less attractive place to live, which causes more people to leave, and the spiral just gets faster and faster.
So what's actually kicking off these death spirals? Well, the source material points to 5 huge converging trends that are basically creating a perfect storm for certain American cities.
Let's break these down real quick. First up, you've got the remote work revolution. I mean, this one's obvious. It's freed millions of people from needing to live in expensive cities. Second, demographic collapse. Birth rates are falling, so there just aren't enough new people to replace those who are leaving or retiring. Third, that leads to a commercial real estate apocalypse. Downtowns are emptying out. Fourth, climate change. It's making some places dangerously hot, too dry, or just way too prone to disasters. And finally, all of this can lead to fiscal insolvency, where cities are just, for all intents and purposes, broke. With huge debts they have no hope of ever paying off.
To really see how this all plays out in the real world, let's take a look at our first case study, Gary, Indiana. This is pretty much the classic example of what happens when a city built entirely on one industry suddenly loses it.
Just look at that number, 61%, a loss of over 60% of its population. That's not a decline, that's an absolute collapse. This single stat just shows you the sheer scale of the devastation when a city's entire foundation gets ripped out from under it.
So you can see it's like a domino effect. The collapse of the steel industry was the first domino to fall. That one knocked over the next. The jobs disappeared. Without jobs, people left. Without people, the tax base vanished. The city went broke, services pretty much disappeared, crime went through the roof, and property became worthless. It's a textbook death spiral.
Okay, so now let's pivot to a completely different kind of threat. We're looking at Bakersfield, California, which is facing a crisis driven not by industry collapsing, but by the environment itself. 105 degrees. And listen, according to the source, this isn't some rare freak heat wave. This is becoming the new normal for summers in Bakersfield. This kind of extreme heat, plus a bunch of other environmental pressures, is posing a genuine existential threat to the city's future.
Now, what's so fascinating here is the paradox. Bakersfield's population is actually growing, but the source calls it a poverty trap. Basically, people who can't afford to live in other parts of California are moving in, but they're bringing poverty with them, not prosperity. And all this is happening while the region's 2 main industries, oil and agriculture, are being threatened by climate change and, most importantly, a critical lack of water.
All right, now we get to the most surprising and maybe the most controversial case study in this entire analysis. We're talking about a city that's famous for its tech wealth and multi-million-dollar homes, San Francisco.
I know what you're thinking. San Francisco? Seriously? How could one of the richest, most expensive cities in America possibly be on this list? Well, the argument is that just beneath that shiny surface of wealth, a new kind of urban decay is taking hold, something they're calling the doom loop.
And this gets right to the heart of the problem. An office vacancy rate in downtown San Francisco of over 30%. To put that in perspective, that's higher than it was during the depths of the 2008 financial crisis. This isn't just a slump, it's a fundamental crisis for the city's entire economic core, and it's being driven in large part by the massive shift to remote work.
So here's how this doom loop actually works.
First, remote work empties out all those huge downtown offices. That means no more workers grabbing lunch, shopping after work, or going to happy hour. So, small businesses, retail, restaurants, they start to die off. As demand tanks, the value of those giant office buildings collapses, and that absolutely craters the city's property tax revenue. The city is then forced to cut services, which makes it a worse place to live, which, you guessed it, prompts more people and businesses to leave, and the loop just keeps on going.
Okay, so we've looked at Gary, we've looked at Bakersfield, we've looked at San Francisco. What are the key patterns here? What is it that separates the cities that are declining from the ones that are actually thriving in America today?
The source really lays out this stark contrast. On one side, you have the declining cities. They're often dependent on a single industry, they have high taxes, but the services are poor, infrastructure is crumbling, and the middle class is leaving. On the other side, you've got the winning cities, places like Austin or Nashville. They tend to have diverse economies, more favorable tax situations, and they are attracting the very same middle-class families that are fleeing the others.
And this all brings us to the final, really provocative question the source asks. Is all this urban decline something we should fight with massive government investment? Or is this just a natural, even if it's painful, resorting of the American population? It's a huge question with no easy answers, but it really gets to the heart of what the future of our cities might actually look like.